Oh, so you think skipping this won't matter, huh? You think life just lets you walk past the hard truths without a price. That's cute. Life doesn't hand out free passes. It hands out scars. You dodge the lesson now, and it waits for you in the dark, sharper, heavier, crueler. People laugh, people pretend they're fine, but deep down they cry, they break, they regret. And regret, my friend, is the loudest scream you'll ever hear in silence. Regret never leaves. It clings to you like a shadow, doesn't it? You can run, laugh, pretend you've outsmarted it, but deep down, it waits. Oh, it waits with the patience of a predator. You see, people think regret is just a thought, a memory, something you can brush off like dust on your jacket. But no, regret is alive. It breathes inside your chest. It whispers in your ears at night when you're all alone, when the noise of the world fades, and it's just you, your thoughts, and that one choice you wish you could take back. That's when it crawls out, scratching, reminding, replaying every second you tried to bury. Funny thing is, people underestimate it. They tell themselves, I'll forget, I'll move on. That's the biggest joke of all. Move on. Forget. Regret doesn't let you forget. It's a scar carved into the mind, into the soul, and scars don't fade, do they? They just sit there, marking you, making sure you never really escape. Every smile you force, every laugh you fake, regret sits behind it, mocking you. You can trick the world, but you can't trick the part of you that remembers exactly where you went wrong. It's not the kind of pain that screams at you all at once. Oh no, regret is clever. It drips, drop by drop, moment by moment, like water torture. You'll be fine 1 second, and then suddenly, a word, a smell, a face, it all pulls you right back. And there it is, that sick feeling in your stomach, that burning behind your eyes, that whisper telling you, you should have, you could have, but you didn't. And that, right there, is the prison. Not one with bars or locks, but one built inside your mind, and you carry it everywhere. People go their whole lives trying to silence it. They work themselves to death, drown themselves in distractions, chase every pleasure they can grab, just to keep the voice down. But the joke is, the quieter the world gets, the louder regret becomes. At night, when everyone's asleep, when the mask comes off, when it's just you staring at the ceiling, that's when regret does its little dance. It twirls, it laughs. It pulls you apart piece by piece. And the cruelest part, regret doesn't even have to be about something huge. No, it feeds on the little things just as much. A word you didn't say, a chance you didn't take, a moment you let slip because you thought you had more time. Oh, that's the delicious part. It tricks you into believing you'll get another shot. And when you don't, it locks you in its grip forever. You replay it over and over, wishing you could change just a second, just a single decision. But that second is gone, forever. Regret makes you its puppet. It pulls the strings every time you hesitate, every time you face a new choice. You start asking yourself, what if I mess this up too? What if I regret this later? And just like that, regret multiplies. 1 grows into 2, 2 grows into 10, until your whole life is nothing but a collection of ghosts whispering in your ear. You don't live, you just exist, trapped between the past you can't fix and the future you're too afraid to grab. And oh, how it loves to laugh at you, because regret knows the truth. You can't erase it, you can't rewrite the story. You're stuck with it. You're chained to it. It's not something you move on from. It's something you drag behind you, every step, every breath. People hide it well, but look closely into their eyes and you'll see it. That flicker, that weight, that silent cry. Regret never leaves. It just learns how to wear different masks, but underneath, it's always there, waiting, watching, whispering, reminding you that you failed, that you missed your chance, that the moment you skipped has now become your curse. Pain teaches louder than comfort. Comfort whispers sweet nothings, tucks you in, tells you everything is fine, even when it's not. It rocks you to sleep with lies, makes you believe you're safe, that life will be kind, that nothing can touch you. But pain, oh, pain doesn't whisper. Pain kicks down the door, drags you out of bed, and screams in your face until you listen. Comfort makes you soft, dull, blind to what's waiting around the corner. Pain sharpens you, carves you, strips away the illusions you wrapped yourself in. It doesn't care about your excuses, your pretty little lies, or the masks you wear to impress the world. Pain rips them off and shows you what's really underneath. People chase comfort like it's the prize, like that's the goal. Be comfortable, be happy, be at ease. They don't realize it's the trap. Comfort lulls you into thinking you've made it, that you're strong, that you're enough. But strength doesn't grow in comfort. No, strength is forged in fire, in the moments you wish would end, in the nights you cry and scream, and no one hears you. That's when you learn. That's when the real education begins. Pain teaches what comfort never can. Comfort says, you're fine just the way you are. Pain says, you're not ready, not even close. Comfort tells you to stay still, to protect what you have. Pain shoves you forward, forces you to fight, forces you to change. Comfort is the soft lullaby that keeps you asleep. Pain is the alarm clock that shatters your dream and throws you into reality. And the irony, people curse pain. They run from it, they hide from it, not realizing it's the only thing trying to wake them up. Think about it. When do people truly grow? When they're comfortable? No. They grow when they're broken. When life punches them in the mouth and leaves them gasping for air. That's when the lessons hit hardest. You learn who your friends are when pain strips away the fake smiles. You learn who you are when pain takes everything you thought you needed. You learn what matters when pain burns away everything else. Comfort never does that. Comfort just keeps you distracted, keeps you blind, keeps you soft. Pain doesn't lie. That's the difference. Comfort lies all the time. Paints a pretty picture that hides the cracks. Pain rips the paint off the walls and makes you look at the rot beneath. Pain doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't care about fairness. It doesn't care if you're ready. It arrives uninvited. It stays as long as it wants, and it makes sure you never walk away the same. And that's the gift, isn't it? The ugly gift no one wants, but everyone needs. Pain breaks you, but in the breaking, it builds something stronger, something real. People who live their whole lives in comfort are the weakest of all. They're the ones who crumble when life finally shows its teeth. They're the ones who scream the loudest when pain finally comes, because they never learned how to handle it. They were too busy hiding under their blankets of comfort, hoping life wouldn't notice them. But life always notices. Sooner or later, pain finds everyone. The difference is some have been trained by it, shaped by it, hardened by it, and some have been softened, weakened, left unprepared. You see, pain has a sense of humor. It doesn't just hit you once and leave. No, it circles back again and again until you learn the lesson. It doesn't stop until it leaves its mark. And when it does, you never forget. That scar on your body, that scar in your mind, it's a reminder, a teacher that never shuts up. Comfort erases memories, makes you forget how fragile you really are. Pain makes sure you remember every single day. And here's the secret. People respect pain more than they respect comfort. They won't admit it, but it's true. They admire the ones who walked through fire, who bled, who suffered, who endured. No one tells stories about the ones who sat comfortably, sipping their drinks, waiting for life to be easy. Know the stories, the legends, the ones that inspire. It's always the ones who carried pain and came out with something more than they had before. Because pain teaches louder than comfort, and it never forgets to leave its mark. Skipped lessons return harsher. That's the cruel joke life plays, isn't it? You think you're clever, slipping past the test, dodging the hardship, skipping the grind. You tell yourself, not today, maybe tomorrow, maybe never. But life doesn't forget. Oh no, it keeps score. And every lesson you skip, every truth you dodge, it comes back sharper, heavier, nastier. The little monster you avoided grows teeth, while you're busy pretending it doesn't exist. And when it comes back, it doesn't knock politely. It breaks the door, drags you out, and beats the lesson into you until you understand what you refused to learn the first time. People love shortcuts. They love easy. Skip the pain, skip the work, skip the suffering. They want the reward without the process, the finish line without the race. But life isn't stupid. You don't get to cheat the system. You can skip the chapter, but the test will still come. And when it does, you'll fail harder than you ever imagined, because the lesson doubled while you were hiding. That's the punishment for cowardice. Delayed pain, amplified suffering. What you ignore doesn't disappear. It waits. It festers. It mutates into something worse. Skipped lessons don't forgive. They don't vanish because you weren't ready. They come back meaner because you had the arrogance to think you could escape them. Think about it, the person who avoids responsibility, who avoids facing truth, who avoids discomfort. Do they live free? No. They live haunted. Every time they dodge, they build a bigger storm waiting to crash down on them. One bill unpaid becomes debt. One truth unspoken becomes a lie that poisons everything. One problem ignored becomes chaos that swallows them whole. Skipping is just planting seeds of destruction. And when they bloom, the thorns don't just prick. You bleed. And the funny thing is, life always gives you the easy version first. That's the mercy. The lesson comes small, almost kind. A little warning, a little push, a little sting. But when you ignore it, when you laugh and brush it off, life smiles and says, "Oh, you didn't get it. Let's make it louder." The whisper turns into a shout. The sting turns into a scar. The small push becomes a violent shove. And if you still don't listen, then it drops the hammer, and by the time it lands, you're begging for the version you once thought was too much. People cry about how unfair life is, but they forget. It gave them chances. It gave them the lesson in small doses, in little tests they could have passed if they weren't so scared, so lazy, so blinded by comfort. But no, they skipped it. And now the price is higher. That's how life collects its debts. Through suffering you thought you could escape. The more you avoid, the bigger the interest grows. You're not saving yourself by skipping. You're building a monster that will crush you later. Look closely at people. You'll see it in their eyes. The ones who carry the weight of skipped lessons. They're the ones who tremble when the same situations come back. They've been running so long they've forgotten what it feels like to stand. And when the lesson finally corners them, they collapse under its weight. Because it's not just the lesson anymore. It's every skipped chance. Every ignored truth, every postponed fight stacked together into one blow. Life isn't gentle with cowards. It doesn't hand out endless retrays without raising the stakes. That's why the longer you wait, the worse it gets. Skip a moment of courage today, you'll face humiliation tomorrow. Skip the discipline to grow now. You'll face the chains of regret later. Skip the chance to fight for yourself. And one day you'll find yourself so weak, so broken, that fighting isn't even an option anymore. Skipped lessons don't fade away. They sharpen their knives in the dark, waiting for you to stumble back into their path. And when they see you, they smile. Because now they're stronger and you're weaker. That's the balance. Every time you skip, you trade your strength for their power. Until the day comes when the lesson doesn't just knock. It consumes you. And by then, you'll wish you'd taken the pain when it was smaller, when it was kinder, when it was still something you could bear. Silence hides the deepest screams. People think screams are loud, raw, impossible to ignore. They imagine pain as noise, chaos, hysteria. But the loudest screams aren't the ones tearing through the air. No, the loudest ones are buried inside the quiet. That's the trick, the cruel magic. Pain doesn't always shout. It sits still, calm, invisible. A smile stretched too wide, eyes that don't quite shine, laughter that feels just a little too heavy. On the surface, silence. Underneath, a storm that never stops tearing. You've seen it, haven't you? The ones who never complain, never speak, never show their scars. They're the ones carrying the heaviest load. Because silence is the perfect mask. It doesn't draw attention. It doesn't make others uncomfortable. Silence makes it easy for everyone to look away, to believe everything is fine. That's the game. People don't want to hear the screams anyway. They'd rather you swallow them, bury them, and wear silence like a suit. And the longer you wear it, the heavier it gets, until silence itself becomes a cage. Screams in silence don't fade. They echo inside. They bounce around the skull, through the chest, rattling bones and breaking spirit. Every smile becomes a lie. Every quiet nod becomes a betrayal of what you're actually feeling. And the world applauds it. So strong, they say, so composed. They don't see that silence isn't strength, it's suffocation. The real screaming doesn't come from mouths. It comes from the eyes, from the hands that shake when no one's looking, from the way someone stares too long at the floor, as if it might swallow them whole. Silence is clever, though. It convinces you to keep it. Because speaking, oh, that makes you vulnerable. That strips the mask away. That invites judgment, pity, rejection. And people fear that more than the pain itself. So they stay silent, screaming inside their skulls, letting the noise eat them alive. They walk through life with that smile, that laugh, that calm tone, while every second their insides are howling. That's the twisted part. Silence lets the scream grow louder without anyone else hearing it. It's the little moments where you notice it most. When someone zones out mid-conversation, their eyes flickering somewhere far away. When they laugh at the wrong time, too loud, too forced. When they say, "I'm fine," with a smile that doesn't quite reach. That's silence speaking louder than any scream. Because when someone truly screams out loud, at least the world knows. But when they hold it all in, the world claps them on the back and says, "You're doing great." The mask wins. The silence wins. And the silence doesn't just hide pain. It multiplies it. Every time you choke down a scream, it digs deeper. Every time you swallow the truth, the silence grows stronger, thicker, harder to break. It becomes part of you, a parasite that feeds on your unspoken agony. Until one day, you forget what your real voice even sounds like. You forget how to scream at all, and that's when silence wins completely. It erases you. Replaces you with a hollow shell that looks alive, but is already gone inside. Silence is a liar. It convinces the world you're fine. It convinces you that your screams don't matter, that no one would listen anyway. And maybe the worst part is, it's right. Most people don't listen. They don't want to hear the ugly, the broken, the raw. They want the silence. They prefer it. It keeps them comfortable. So you give them what they want. And you drown quietly while everyone around you enjoys the calm surface. But the silence never actually kills the scream. It just hides it, locks it away where only you can hear it. And that's the true torture. You're trapped with it. No escape, no relief. Every night, when the world goes quiet, when you're alone in the dark, that's when the scream is loudest. That's when silence shows its real face. It's not peace. It's not calm. It's the loudest prison you'll ever know, built not with walls, but with the absence of sound. And inside that prison, the deepest screams never stop echoing. Running away only delays the fall. That's the comedy people never seem to get. They think if they avoid the problem, if they dodge the pain, if they sprint fast enough in the opposite direction, somehow they'll escape. They build this little fantasy in their heads that running buys them safety. But running doesn't erase the fall. It just stretches the road until it breaks beneath their feet. The ground is still waiting. The cliff is still there. The crash is still guaranteed. You can run until your legs bleed. But gravity doesn't forget. People love to pretend avoidance is strength. I don't have to face this now. They tell themselves. It'll work itself out. That's the sweetest lie of all. Problems don't dissolve in the dark. They grow. They sharpen their claws while you hide, and when they find you, they're bigger, hungrier, nastier. Running away doesn't save you. It fattens the monster chasing you. And by the time it catches you, it's not a problem anymore. It's a catastrophe. The truth is, every step you take away from the fight feels good at first. The air feels lighter, the noise fades, your heart slows down. You think, yes, I escaped. But it's temporary. That's the trap. Because in the distance, the footsteps are still coming. And deep down, you hear them. You know you didn't escape. You just bought yourself a little silence before the storm. The fall is patient. It waits for you to get comfortable, to start believing you're safe. And then it hits harder because you weren't ready, because you were too busy pretending the danger was gone. Running is the art of lying to yourself. Every mile you put between you and the truth, you keep whispering, I'm fine, I'm strong, I'm free. But you're not free. You're hunted. You're being stalked by the very thing you tried to escape. And when you finally trip, and you always trip, it lands on you with every ounce of strength it collected while you were running. The longer you run, the heavier the fall. That's the price. That's the law. You can see it in people. The ones who've been running for years. They smile, they laugh, they act like they've got it all together. But watch closely. Their eyes twitch at certain words. Their hands shake when the past creeps into the room. They jump at shadows because they know. They know the fall is coming. And they've built their whole life trying to outrun it. But no one outruns it forever. You don't escape gravity. You don't outsmart the ground. Sooner or later, it catches up. Running only delays the inevitable, and the delay makes it worse. It's like ignoring a crack in the wall. It spreads, it deepens, until one day the whole house collapses on you. If you'd fixed it early, it would have been simple. But you ran. You pretended, you avoided. And now you're buried. That's what happens when you treat running like a solution. It's not a solution. It's a death sentence written in slow motion. And here's the twisted part. People think the fall will hurt less if they don't see it coming. That's why they run, to avoid the sight of it. But the blind fall is the worst one. At least when you stand your ground, you see it, you brace yourself, you take the hit with your fists up. When you run, the fall blindsides you. You don't even get to prepare. One moment you're laughing, thinking you escaped, and the next moment the ground tears you apart. That's the cruelest kind of pain, the one you didn't even see until it swallowed you whole. Running away doesn't change destiny. It just makes you softer, weaker, easier to break when the fall finally arrives. Because the fall isn't optional. It's written into the rules. You can delay it, you can pretend it's not there, but you can't delete it. Every step you take away from the fight is just another step closer to a harder landing. That's why running feels safe in the moment, but always ends in disaster. Because no matter how fast you move, the fall is faster and it never misses.